26,171. That is the number of bombs dropped by the United States in just 2016. So where exactly is this happening, and what do those numbers really mean? This is a reality check you won't see anywhere else. Well, 8 years ago, when President Obama took office, he claimed he was an anti-war candidate. He was also given a Nobel Peace Prize for his words, but his actions have been drastically different than what most media will tell you. New numbers from the Council on Foreign Relations show that in 2016 alone, President Obama's Department of Defense dropped at least 26,171 bombs around the world. Take a look. Syria, 12,192. Iraq, 12,095. Afghanistan, 1,337. Libya, 496. Yemen, 34. Somalia, 14. Pakistan, 3. Those numbers are simply incredible, but let's put it into greater context. That means that every day last year, the U.S. military blasted combatants or civilians overseas with 72 bombs. That's 3 bombs every hour, 24 hours a day. But these bombs are targeting terror organizations, right? We're simply killing bad guys. That, of course, is what most media will tell you, but it's simply not true. In fact, those bombs are striking thousands of civilians in 7 majority Muslim countries. Consider for a moment that in 2016, 24,000 of those 26,000 bombs were dropped in Syria and Iraq, which means that 2,000 fell in Afghanistan, Somalia, Libya, and Yemen. So how many civilians are actually dying? Well, the Bureau for Investigative Journalism has been tracking civilian deaths for years, and they have found that the Department of Defense significantly underreports civilian deaths. Part of the reason for that is because in 2012, President Obama embraced a disputed method for counting civilian casualties. In those strike zones, combatants were redefined to count all military-age males as combatants, unless there is explicit intelligence posthumously proving them innocent. The U.S. government claimed that it killed between 64 and 116 non-combatants in 473 counterterrorism strikes in Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, and Libya between January of 2009 and the end of 2015. But that's only a fraction of the 380 to 801 civilian casualty range recorded by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism. From reports by local and international journalists, NGO investigators, leaked government documents, court papers, and the result of field investigations. And that means that if correct, the U.S. government is underreporting civilian deaths by 6 times the actual numbers. So what you need to know is that today we find ourselves in a state of perpetual war. In the 15 years since 9/11, the U.S. has waged war in over half a dozen countries to end terrorism, and yet today there are more terror organizations with larger populations operating in more Western countries than ever before. So if dropping bombs is the answer, then maybe we're asking the wrong question, because this war on terror only seems to be breeding more war and more terror. That's Reality Check. Let's talk about it on Twitter.